Hi everybody. So for the first few questions on the review sheet, which I have in front of me right here, that has to do with an experiment that you've not conducted. There'll be a there'll be a different experiment explained on the, which I describe on the final exam. All right, it won't be this one, and it'll also be one that you haven't done before. And your goal is to identify the independent variable, the dependent variable, the control variables, and what assumptions you would make. It's going to be a multiple choice question on the final, so at least you have that. But again, the point there is to recognize which variable which variable is the student manipulating. In other words, like when you did an experiment where you added specific amounts of mass, you made that choice to add 100 grams every time you did another point, or maybe you added 500 grams, but you made that choice. That's always going to be your independent variable. So in this experiment, they get to choose how far back they pull the thing. So I know this isn't half a meter, but I just put a rubber band up here for a demo, and this isn't a tennis ball, but it works. All right, and so they pull it back. All right, they pull it. Let's try this. And they pull it back, and then they'd let it go, and whoo, it would go a certain distance, and then they're going to pull it back further and let it go, and then see where it lands. Pull it back further still, and see where it lands. So they should do that like a minimum of 5 times, pulling it back to greater and greater distances each time. Okay, but they're in control of how far back they pull it. So that's your independent variable. That's their independent variable, how far back they stretch the elastic band, because they get to be in charge of that. So that's their independent variable. Remember, the independent variable is always the one you could write down in your data table before you actually ever conducted the experiment. And then they're going to have to measure the range each time. Right? They pull it back a certain distance that they've decided on, independent variable, and then they let go, measure where it lands. That's going to be their dependent variable, because the range, of course, depends upon how far back they pull the thing, right? So that's going to be their dependent variable. So they pull it back further and then measure the range. Dependent variable, pull it back further again. They should do it at least twice, at least 2 or 3 times for each trial. The point being that the independent variable is how far they stretch it, and the dependent variable is the range. What should they control? Well, I think the main thing they should control, other than not changing the ball and not changing the elastic band, those are control variables, and how far it's stretched. All right, those are definitely control variables. Same ball, same elastic band for every trial, same degree to which it's stretched between the posts, between the posts. Not how far stretched back it is, because that's your independent variable. But those control variables, same ball, same rubber band, same length stretched between the posts. I think I put half a meter in the problem. But I think the main control variable is the launch angle. All right, you wouldn't want to change the launch angle. You'd want to keep the launch angle the same. I'd make it horizontal if I were doing that experiment every single time, as opposed to going up at an angle, woo, or have it go horizontally. Lastly, what assumptions should they make? I think the main assumption that you can make in something like this is that air resistance is negligible. All right, air resistance is not significant, does not significantly affect the results. There might be other assumptions to make. But the one that just comes to mind at the moment is air resistance. So after having watched this, you should go do the Canvas check. It's your Canvas checkpoint to just ensure that you have gone over that first 4 questions in the worksheet and watch this super duper exciting video. All right, later.